Welcome in. It's time for another edition of the Morning Espresso on the SDH Network, presented by our friends at Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. I'm Jason Longshore. Long weekend of absolute chaos in the city of Atlanta, honestly, in the surrounding areas of watching a promotion final yesterday with our friends up at NoFo Brewing and coming some really cool things coming from them in the very, very near future, actually, even though their sponsored club, Walsall, did not make it to League One. AFC Wimbledon, John Nelson, very happy today. AFC Wimbledon got the win. They're moving up. Walsall will have to regroup and try for promotion next year. Premier League Championship Sunday event at the Battery. It was packed. It was a lot of fun. Hung out with Blooper. I mean, come on, that's a pretty cool afternoon. Very, very fun times. You've all seen the highlights and booth cams and everything going on from Atlanta United's win over FC Cincinnati and all kinds of conversation afterwards. It's always fun when your Twitter account wants to get spammed by fans from the opposing team who are very upset about a collision that happened. And Nick Hagland, unfortunately, injured. Hopefully, he will be back in action sooner rather than later. I talked about it during the match multiple times. I'll say it here just for posterity. Two players trying to play. Ball is being played up the left side for Cincinnati. Latte Lot is chasing and pressuring and trying to get to the ball to chase Miazga, who's going to receive it. Nick Hagland trying to screen him off. It's obvious that Hagland is stepping in his direction to block Latte Lot from getting to the ball. I think some of the narrative around this incident has been described as just running into him for no reason, which is not true. You can watch the sequence. He runs into him very hard. He does. Hagland is trying to block him strongly. Latte Lot won that physical battle, and unfortunately, Hagland was injured. There's no loading up of an elbow. There's no throwing of an elbow. He ran into him very hard. Referees looked at it, decided it wasn't a foul in real time. VAR looked at it, decided there was no reason to intervene. And this is what happens when you try to screen off a player. It's very unfortunate for Nick Hagland, but I think the insinuations that this was intentional and the word assault has been thrown around, which is just really ridiculous. The injury doesn't define the action or a foul. And we've seen these kinds of plays before. We've seen them happen. It's very unfortunate for Nick Hagland, but when you are screening a player off who is running at full speed to try to get to a ball to challenge it, we've talked about Atlanta United needing to be more aggressive and challenging things. The 9 minutes before that happened, I said Atlanta needed to be more aggressive, especially with their forwards, challenging the ball, not letting Cincinnati advance it forward without any pressure. That's why Cincinnati was pinning Atlanta in early on. Well, this was the pressure, and Nick Hagland ultimately trying to block Latte Lot off of getting to that to challenge the ball. You have the incident that happens, and we'll see if the disciplinary committee gets involved from MLS. I don't imagine that they will. Could you have seen a foul called? Sure. Could you have seen a yellow card issued? I wouldn't have liked it, but I still wouldn't be talking about it today. If that had happened, it would be lost in the shuffle of the game. But nothing more than any of that. And again, just to be clear, it's very unfortunate for Nick Hagland. The injury, you hate to see it. Hopefully, he will be back sooner rather than later. But I think there is a lot of extra going on from a lot of different folks. And it's not just fans who are kind of leading this. Hopefully, it dies down and hopefully Nick Hagland's back on the field soon. Let's get into some news. This is Morning Espresso. We talk about what's going on around the world of soccer. We're going to talk, unfortunately, about another incident that I hate to get into in Liverpool yesterday. A 53-year-old man arrested. Minivan plowed into a crowd of fans celebrating the Premier League championship for Liverpool. Uh, Authorities have confirmed he's the sole suspect. He is a 53-year-old white British male. He is in custody. Identity has not been clarified beyond that. Nearly 50 individuals were affected, 4 kids among them, 27 taken to hospitals, 4 in critical condition. Remainder received minor medical attention on site. 4 victims were trapped under the van. They were rescued. Just awful, awful scenes, and it's the last thing that you want to see, especially with Liverpool celebrating when they didn't get to celebrate last time after decades without a league title. During COVID, they didn't get to celebrate publicly. So hopefully everyone recovers, and hopefully these things can be prevented better in the future. Just the last thing that any of us want to be talking about right now, and hopefully everybody recovers well. Let's get into some other things on the field in Morning Espresso this Tuesday. UEFA Conference League final tomorrow. Real Betis and Chelsea. Interesting battle on the managerial side. Manuel Pellegrini, he is the very well-respected manager of Real Betis. He knows Enzo Maresca very well. He managed him at Malaga. Maresca was also Pellegrini's assistant at West Ham. Pellegrini said that Chelsea, knowing Enzo, is a team that's going to come out to play from the first minute. Talking about his two danger men, Isco and Antony, Pellegrini said that Isco is a role model for young players, everything he's achieved and all his trophies. He's back in the Spanish national team now after a long absence. Amazing for him. Pellegrini said that he's an example in how he trains every day and the demands he puts on himself. Talking about Antony, he said that Antony has undoubtedly brought us a lot. He's showing it with all the assists and the quality he's added, as well as the progress the team has made since he arrived in January. He has 4 goals and 3 assists in 8 games in the Conference League since coming in January. You also have to look out from Betis for Cedric Bakambu, the striker who has 7 goals in this term in Conference League, 2 assists. He's only 1 behind the leader in the Conference League in terms of goals. 1 player ahead of him in goal involvements as well. Bakambu has been outstanding, the DR Congo national team player. It's kind of crazy that Pellegrini, with the career he's had, this is his first major European final. It's also the first European final for Real Betis. Chelsea's going to try to overturn some bad luck that English teams have had against Spanish teams as of late. Spanish teams have won each of their last 9 major European finals against English opponents. The last English opponent to beat a La Liga team in a European final was Liverpool over Alavés in the 2001 UEFA Cup. 5-4 in that one. For Betis, a couple of injury updates, and they've got a pretty long list here. Johnny Cardoso of the U.S. men's national team, hoping to be available. Giovanni Lo Celso, a doubt with a muscle strain. Fran Vietes, the goalkeeper, he's got a calf issue. Yusuf Sabali, the right back, he's got a shoulder issue. Ezequiel Avila, doubt because of a hamstring. Diego Llorente, Marc Roca, Hector Bellerin, all out of this one for Betis. Chelsea, much closer to full strength. Nicholas Jackson is available. The question for Chelsea and Enzo Maresca is more about rotation, because they played on Sunday where they beat Nottingham Forest. Betis played on Friday. They drew 1-1 against Valencia. So Betis has more rest, but a much longer injury list. Chelsea, less rest, but a much better list in terms of injuries, but not fatigue. That game is tomorrow. You can watch it in the U.S. on Paramount Plus. Argentine final is on Sunday. Platense and Huracan. Platense booked their spot with a 1-0 win at San Lorenzo, a goal in the second half. Huracan 6-5 in a shootout in penalties on Saturday after a scoreless draw. Huracan beat Independiente in that one. Platense, Huracan, not the final in Argentina that anyone expected. You'll be able to watch it on Sunday afternoon on Fanatis. World Cup qualifiers, international break next week. Brazil, their roster is out for Carlo Ancelotti. Ruled Neymar out. He's been dealing with injuries. No shock there. Brought back Casemiro, a player that's always been a favorite of Ancelotti. Also included new wunderkind, Estevao, 18 years old, from Palmeiras. Be interested to see him in this one for Carlo Ancelotti, as they have 2 pretty big World Cup qualifiers. I think Brazil's going to be fine, but they don't have a whole lot of room for error in where they are in the qualification process in South America. Also going on during this international break, the UEFA Nations League. I mentioned it. Isco brought back into the team after a 6-year absence. Yes, he's 33. Huge reward for the way he has played with Real Betis. UEFA Nations League going into the semifinals. Spain is a strong favorite to win this. They put the Dutch out in the quarterfinal stage. Spain will play France on June 5th in Stuttgart. The winner will play either Portugal or Germany, who play on June 4th. Club World Cup, lots of updates. Cristiano Ronaldo is the big headlining one right now. No, he's not in the Club World Cup as things currently stand, but he indicated on Monday that after the Saudi Pro League finished, he could leave Al Nasser out of contract at the end of June, which means if somebody wants to bring him in, they're going to have to negotiate his contract being ended early to join. Now, you do have the transfer window coming up for Club World Cup teams. Ronaldo has been linked with Brazilian teams, although no names have been said. I think Palmeiras' name has been maybe whispered the loudest. Monterrey in Mexico, their name has been said. I don't know how serious that one is. But now you have a little bit of a sweepstakes potentially, as Cristiano Ronaldo's social media posts kind of indicate that his time at Al Nasser is finished. Nobody's going to match his salary at Al Nasser, but giving him the opportunity to be on the world stage with the Club World Cup might be something that he wants, maybe even just as a very short term deal. Who knows? Stay tuned. This could get very interesting, and it's probably going to soak up a lot of headlines worldwide. Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso. I think Real Madrid's a team to watch in the Club World Cup because I think they're going to be loaded to try to win this thing. They love winning trophies, and they didn't really have a year that was very successful by their standards. Xabi Alonso is now in charge at Madrid. He wants to make this team, quote, an unstoppable force, unquote. That would be about right. 3-year contract with them. He talked about the tactics that he wants to employ. He has ideas for how to combine Vinny Jr. and Kylian Mbappe. He wants Jude Bellingham to be a midfielder and to be as efficient as possible. He's got a lot to work with. He wants his team to be flexible. He said, we're lucky to have players of that level, not just Kylian and Vinicius. They're two players who make the difference, and we have to get the best out of them. I have ideas, and we'll work on it. That's my job now. It's also the club's job to get signings in ahead of Club World Cup. Dean Huijsen, he's also in that Spanish roster for UEFA Nations League. He will be there trying to get Alvaro Carreras and Trent Alexander-Arnold in place. Might bring Nico Paz back from Como. It's looking like Real Madrid will for the Club World Cup. But this deal to get Trent Alexander-Arnold is complicated. The previous reports had been around $1 million to get him because his contract is up on June 30. You want to get him in ahead of the tournament, so at the beginning of June. Well, reportedly, Liverpool wanted $1 million. Now, El Chiringuito on Spanish TV is saying that Liverpool wants $5 million to get this done. It's getting a little excessive for a month of $5 million, but Liverpool holds the cards here, and Real Madrid is going to have to pay if they want to get him in for the tournament. Also, maybe not related to Club World Cup, but on the Madrid side of things, Manu Romero. Keep that name in mind. Youth player eligible to play for the U.S., Uruguay, and Spain. He signed his first pro contract with Real Madrid. He's a left back. He plays in the U16 team right now. Club America, they will head into their playoff against LAFC this weekend for the last spot in the Club World Cup and to play here in Atlanta against Chelsea. They will head there a little upset after losing the Liga MX final to Toluca 2-0. Toluca broke up the 3 straight wins in the Liga MX championships for Club America. Toluca now third on the all-time list of champions behind Las Águilas and Chivas. Turco Mohamed is the one who gets the win for Toluca. Maybe that's motivation for Club America. We will find out as Andre Jardine and his side will go to Los Angeles to play LAFC at BMO Stadium this weekend on May 31st. Al Hilal, an interesting one as they are chasing Inter boss Simone Inzaghi, who, I don't know, has one more big game that he's got to deal with, the Champions League final this weekend against PSG. Huge offer in front of Inzaghi to make him one of the highest paid coaches in the world. Al Hilal have identified him as their top candidate to replace Jorge Jesus. Inzaghi has put the discussions on hold, obviously, because of Champions League. When he was asked about it yesterday, he said, I have a contract at Inter and I'm fine. Then he said later, we'll talk the day after the match. If all the conditions are in place, we'll move forward, talking about Inter. So now the questions in the Italian press are, what are those conditions? What does he want? I think the other thing to keep in mind here about Inzaghi and Inter, Inter is the oldest squad in the Champions League, 11 players over the age of 30. You're going to have to rebuild this group. Does he want to rebuild it and stick around? Because if you do, you're probably going to have some downs before you get more ups, potentially anyway. Or do you want to go make a lot of money? Going to be interesting for Simone Inzaghi starting on Sunday after Champions League. Maybe it's easier to walk away if they win. Maybe it's harder to walk away if they don't win. You have unfinished business. Maybe that makes it easier to leave. Maybe Inter wants him to leave at that point. I don't know. Just keep in mind, this is going to get really, really interesting next week with Al Hilal chasing Simone Inzaghi. Boca Juniors, finally, looks like they have their manager, Miguel Angel. I'm just blanking on this. Miguel Angel Russo is coming into Boca Juniors after getting knocked out at San Lorenzo. This is an issue for Boca in the sense that they chased Gabriel Milito. They chased other options as well. They're going to end up getting a manager who lost in the semifinals of the Argentine playoffs further than Boca made. They've also got some issues on the player side. They've got two players to look at, Ayrton Costa and Marcos Rojo. Rojo, you'll remember from the Argentine national team. Let's start with Costa, though. He's on probation in Argentina for an incident in 2018. He and his brother were accused of breaking into a home. He's had visas to the United States denied twice in the past few years. Boca is hoping that FIFA can pull some strings, get a special work permit so he can play during the Club World Cup. If he can't, then he's not going to be able to be on the roster for Club World Cup. Rojo's under contract through December, but his actions have indicated that he wants out of the club. He pulled out of that playoff match where they lost in the quarterfinals. Boca are trying to add to their squad ahead of the tournament. They're chasing Leandro Paredes of Roma. They tried to get him in January, couldn't pull off the deal. They're also looking at Juan Foyth of Villarreal. They're looking at Rodrigo Gauro at Corinthians. These are the first signings that the club is really looking at seriously to try to bring in for Club World Cup. One more Club World Cup bit of news. Kim Min-jae of Bayern, he is not in South Korea's squad for World Cup qualifiers next week. He's trying to get fit for the Club World Cup, has been dealing with an Achilles injury most of the season, sustained it back in October. Other bits of news, Napoli, they won the Serie A title on Friday. Celebrations probably continuing for weeks on end in Naples. They might be celebrating again if they get Kevin De Bruyne. Looks like, according to Napoli sporting director Giovanni Manna, that this is going to happen. Manna says he can, quote, see the finish line, unquote, in negotiations. Chicago Fire have an offer on the table, but it looks like De Bruyne might be joining the Italian champions. And he might have a different manager because Antonio Conte, by all accounts, looks like he is leaving Naples. Aurelio De Laurentiis, the president and owner of Napoli, essentially confirmed that in the celebrations yesterday. He said, quote, I wish Conte continuing success in his professional life. Thank you, Antonio. There'd already been multiple reports that the deal was done before the last match, that he was going to leave. Looks like Napoli have lined up former Juve coach Max Allegri to replace Conte, who could be heading to Turin to go to Juventus. Going to get interesting in Italy because it looks like most of the top 10 teams out of the 20-team Serie A could have coaching changes or issues or at least question marks going into next season. The England women's national team has lost goalkeeper Mary Earps to retirement. She announced her retirement ahead of the 2025 Euros. Not sure if she would have started in the competition. Hannah Hampton has been getting the starting nod more often than not as of late, but losing Earps affects the locker room. 53 caps for the national team. Huge part of the Euro win in 2022. The 2023 run to the World Cup final was Golden Glove at the 2023 World Cup, saved a penalty in the final where England lost to Spain. She has decided to step down from the national team. England confirmed that Hannah Hampton from Chelsea, Manchester City's Kiara Keating, and the Orlando Pride's Anna Morehouse will be part of the squad for Nations League before you get to the Euros later this summer. A couple other bits. Mentioned Gabriel Milito earlier. He had been linked to Boca Juniors, also linked with Monterrey. He has taken over at Chivas to be their new manager in Liga MX. And if you missed it yesterday afternoon, a pretty fun game to watch. Livingston, they earned promotion back to the Scottish Premiership fell behind in the first half 2-0 to Ross County. They were 2 behind on aggregate. They came back. They end up winning 4-2 on the day, 5-3 on aggregate. There will be a morning espresso tomorrow to get you ready for MLS midweek matches. It might be a little bit later than you're accustomed to. Stay tuned on our social medias at Soccer Down Here. And we'll talk Atlanta. We'll talk Orlando. That game will be at the Benz tomorrow night. We'll talk about all the other games going on in the midweek round as well. Atlanta soccer tonight, this evening on 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app starting at 10 o'clock. Myself and Madison Cruz will get you ready for that. We'll talk about what we hear today at Atlanta United training. Any other bits of news around MLS, any other bits of news around the world, we'll talk about it on AST tonight, 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, and the Odyssey app tomorrow morning. Morning Espresso, getting you ready for midweek MLS. Along with any other updates around the world, you're going to have a lot of Club World Cup updates. There are more tickets available now at all the different locations in the U.S., but here in Atlanta especially, go to FIFA.com/tickets. There's been new pricing that has come out, some opportunities to get in the door at some good numbers if you're looking for these games that include Chelsea and either Club America and LAFC on June 16th. You've got Manchester City and Al Ain. You've got Inter Miami and Porto, and then 3 knockout games later this summer here in Atlanta. Going to be a busy, busy summer around soccer in Atlanta. We'll be covering all of it on the Morning Espresso. And don't forget, coming up in less than 20 minutes, SDH AM with John Nelson taking you through everything worldwide. That starts at 9:05. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on X. You can also watch on Twitch. See y'all soon.